government, freedom, law, education, health, free energy, money, debt. Awake Radio, deconstructing the dream world, one lie at a time.
You didn't think it was going to be that easy, did you?
You know, for a second there, yeah. I kinda did.
Good morning from beautiful Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. It's Al and Lesa and Mr. T. This is Transition Times radio show dedicated to raising awareness on what really goes on in the world around us by exposing lies and seeking truth in order to move forward to a future of peace, love, and happiness. It's actually my birthday today, and
happy birthday, Al.
Happy birthday, Al.
Thanks. What a gift you gave me, Paula. Thank you so much for giving us a chance to do this radio show. Something that we've always wanted to do for a long time.
Oh, we're so glad to have you.
Yeah, we've been on this mission for at least 6 years now, and it's always been part of the plan. So it's funny how it happens on Al's birthday too. It's the way the world works.
That's just awesome.
So Lesa, when did you wake up?
Well, for our first show, I think what we're going to do is introduce ourselves to the group, and Al's going to interview me. So I get to do the talking, and you can ask the questions. And I think I woke up, I would say it was around the time of Hurricane Katrina. A lot of things were going on in my life, and I was starting to question a lot of things. And when I started watching the news and seeing the media and seeing what was going on and how they were treating people like the victims were being treated as criminals. And I started questioning everything. And it really, and other things were coming up. It was like I was listening to the news and seeing that the lies were going on and seeing things that were being promoted as good that were really not good. And it just really started concerning me. So, me being me at the time and probably being a little naive, thought, oh, well, other people are going to notice this too. Like 9/11 was in the back of my head. And so I started doing some research, and I started talking to people and saying, look what's going on. This is ridiculous. It seemed like instead of the crazy part about it was that the people that were asleep thought because I was acting that way that I was the one that was crazy, that I was the one that had a problem and just really wanted to ignore it. And so what happened from there was that once you start asking, I think, the universe to give you information, it's like when you're ready to hear things, all of a sudden all this information was being dropped in my lap. And it was very overwhelming at the time, and I probably was acting a little odd. So, I don't want to blame what happened on people that were asleep.
But sometimes it takes a tragedy, or seeing a tragedy happen actually gets us to wake up to question things and ask the main question, which is why? Why is this happening? Remember on Larry King with Celine Dion, where she broke down and was asking Larry, why is this going on? How come the money's not getting to the people? How come you're keeping them remember they were keeping them in the stadium?
Oh my God, yeah, that was just horrible. When you saw it, and then all I saw on the news was military helicopters, and they were taking their guns, and
really, the guns drawn.
Yeah, and at the time too, I felt like there was so much prejudice here. I saw the prejudice, and it was like, the way they were talking about people, and especially people that were black, or there was poverty going on, and instead of and I was going on different news sites and just seeing some of the way the victims were being so victimized by the media. It was just so sad to see, and it made you question government. I guess that was when I really started questioning, what is government about? And that was just the start of the. Al and I have been investigating for since we met. It'll be nearly 6 years that we've met, and really we've researched probably day in and day out. At night we have our internet on, and we're sleeping, and we may wake up in the middle of the night and we'll do some more research. And it's like has been such a quest for us to get the truth out there too. So having this opportunity now to start talking about it and start telling it from a personal perspective too, how it has affected both our lives
and changed our lives,
and what we've learned, and how at this point you can't go back. We feel now so strongly we've got to do something about it. We've got to start talking about it and having conversations with people. And another thing that throughout this time that I've kind of learned is that everybody has a story, but until something happens to you, you don't want to wake up. And we feel maybe by sharing stories of what's happened to us personally, it's a good opportunity for people to say, you know what, it may be a little bit scary, but when facing the truth is about the only thing that you can do.
And during this period, that's when you started to write a journal, a daily journal. That's what you were doing?
Yeah. It's strange how things happen too, because I was writing down my thoughts and feelings, and it was a way of, I guess part of it was coping, and it was like a healing process. There's something about writing and something about art that opens up, I think, the right side of our brain, and we can kind of see. We become more creative. We open our minds, right?
Become more aware.
Yeah, and I was studying a lot of things too at the time, like different things like synchronicity, and I was very much into like Deepak Chopra and just a lot of I guess metaphysical type of things too. I was looking into that at the time, and I just noticed how there were certain things that people could not accept, and one of the things another thing that made me look like that I wasn't all there to some people was because I happen to believe that I believe in the universe, like if you want to call it God, or I call it the universe nowadays, because I think the word God has just the wrong. That was another thing I started looking at religion, and how religion has led us down such a slippery slope at times. There's not the. It's been also misconstrued. So that was another topic that seemed to be a topic of contention too. It was like, because I believed in synchronicity, or that I was all of a sudden classified as some kind of religious fanatic, or someone that didn't have a good handle on reality. I guess that was the main thing.
Well, that's when they labeled you as bipolar.
Yeah, so because of this, when I saw the thing with Hurricane Katrina, at the time I was working at a very stressful job. I was working for a large insurance company, but it was owned by ING Canada. It's a company that I worked for quite a while before, but at this particular point in my life, I was on a contract position with them. And I had seen a lot of things, too, that had gone on in the corporate world. From when I first started working, we had been a small insurance company, but with globalization and what's happened with the banks, it was
ING came and bought you guys out.
Yeah, it was one takeover, and I could see how just the change of attitude too. Now, it was all it was about profits. It didn't matter if it was right or wrong. They were doing data mining on everybody, even though it wasn't allowed. They were basing their rates on where you lived in the city. So it was obvious if you were poor, you were going to pay more rates. things like that. I was seeing things all of a sudden in a different, and questioning them, and just questioning the tactics of like certain things. Like like this is a surprising thing that I found out. Do you know the marketing budgets are larger than the amount of money that they're paying their people? You know, things like this and
What
all
percent would you say that is?
I think at the time, I used to do the budgets but I think we used to budget like it was. I can't remember exactly, the dollar amount, but I think, put it this way, it was maybe 60-40. 40 for employee costs compared to the 60 for advertising costs. Things like that just didn't make sense. Other things too, where there was worrying about fraud, but we had all these BS auditors in that were more worried about little petty cash things than the things that really mattered. So I'm questioning everything, and I really am getting the project that we're working on was they were just treating us like we were. It didn't matter. We were sent here and there, and timing didn't matter. And I would I kind of spoke up, and to be honest with you, when I did speak up, I realized that was when things would change and happen. But it was how the employees were so afraid to say anything. To open their mouths. It was how
they're afraid of losing their job.
Yeah, how we're just like, I started looking at it. We were just all little slaves in this thing, just all for some corporate profit, and it had nothing to do with the quality of life for anybody. And so at the time too, I was financially not well out. I mean, but I had enough money that I didn't have to worry about having a job, working at something I didn't want, so I decided to quit my job. Well, I guess when the combination of leaving a job like that and speaking out and starting to
question things.
Yeah, this all of a sudden now people started getting concerned about me, and the next thing you know, before I had planned to take like a sabbatical in Barbados, which at the time, now I look back at it, it was a very realistic thing to do. I thought, okay, I'm going to go live there. There's other chances of opportunities for doing what I wanted to do. Like, if I wanted to even paint on the beach or whatever for a while, that was my business. And so I had planned to do that. Well, before I could get on the flight, next thing you know, honestly, I thought I was going to a going away party, but I ended up being brought to CAMH.
Yeah, you were going on a going away party.
Yeah, it was a going away party, right? I had, the boxes were just starting to be packed. I had everything planned. I had a place ready for me. Like everything was falling into place, right? And I really felt, like very confident about what I was doing and not going, And then all of a sudden I find myself just going in for testing, so they said. So at the time, too, I've been going through a lot, and I had a few drinks, so this didn't help while they brought me. But when I was there, everything seemed so surreal. It was so surreal. And at first I was going to go along with them until the person that was interviewing me asked me to take off my clothes. He was going to search me. And at that point, I just went, like, okay, enough's enough. Like, this I'm not putting up with. So I ran out of the place. So to make a long story short, anyway, I got talked to going back there. And when I went back there, the guy said, okay, they weren't going to do that. And so they brought me into it's like a lockdown facility, which is one of the most scariest places you can imagine. And other than they give you such huge tranquilizers, so it kind of makes it a little bit easier to deal with. But so I wake up the next morning, I'm in this lockdown facility, and I see my name on the board, and it goes AWOL. So I find so what they tell me now, I have to stay in here for, well, I think it was a week at the time, because I had run away from the facility.
There would be a warrant out.
Yeah,
for you.
And then there was no way I could leave. There was bars on the windows. There was, and there were people in there that really did need to be in there. I must say, there were some very violent people.
But they put you with public population.
Yeah.
They ended up putting you with regular population.
Yeah, there was violent offenders in there. There were people that were just like screaming and yelling, and it was just really horrendous. And people were just afraid to even contact me at this point, so I had hardly any contact with any outside people, and it was really a scary, scary situation. But in there too, I met people. I did meet some people that were in there that were. I couldn't believe
did not belong there.
No, I couldn't believe. One example, I met this. He was a minister, and I see, and he's crying. He's crying into his hands, and it's like actually sobbing, weeping. And I went up to him, and I kind of said, I started talking, and I asked him what's wrong, like how come he was in here. You get to know a few people, and so he ends up telling me that he got arrested because he was preaching outside to his congregation, and they picked him up like he was some, this was something that you're not allowed to do, like for preaching. And, all he wanted to do was get out there, get back to his congregation. And I'm just outraged. Like, how can they pick up a person and throw them in here for doing, why would the police do something like that? And the man was very articulate, intelligent. And I said, this is something that needs media attention. You should contact the media. He says, forget the media. He said, the media only tells you what they want you to hear. And at the time, now that I look back to the things that happened to me, I see that there were people that were they were awake people. The ones that, a lot of people that I met.
They just got labeled.
Yeah, they were labeled because they didn't fit the norm of whatever society wants to dictate at the time, right? So another example was this beautiful girl. Oh my God, you should have heard her singing voice. She was just absolutely just such a joy, right? And she was in there for being too happy. Can you imagine? They throw you in a place like that for being too happy. It was surreal in a way, and not to mention that all they do is hand you out a lot of pills. So that will also make people in there look like probably they're not
in their right frame of mind.
Yeah.
Because they're not in their right frame of mind because they've been drugged.
Yeah. The amount of drugs that they give you while you're there, and the little care. You see a psychiatrist for 5 minutes, and all they do is they write you. They give you a diagnose after 5 minutes. And
from that book, from the DMS book.
Yeah, the diagnostic and statistical manual of mental disorders. I mean, like how far that's come to just in this last, since that was nearly 10 years ago. Well, that was the first time that I went in and saw how the system, the psychiatric system worked, was 10 years ago. And then I won't get into that now, but I had since been back, and it has gone from bad to worse. I mean, it's like everything now. That if you're shy, you have a disorder. It's unbelievable. And what are a lot of these disorders caused from too? I mean, and I'll tell you one thing too. Going on medication was probably the most. Never in my life have I felt so much anxiety, so little hope. Here you are. You're told you have. This is how they deal with it too. You have bipolar, which is an incurable disease. You'll never be normal. You have to take these pills for the rest of your life. You're ordered by law to see a psychiatrist. P.S. There's hardly a psychiatrist that you can book yourself with. I guess they've been classified.
You'll never have a job.
Yeah. Like your life is pretty well over. That's how I felt when I finally got out of there after. I got out of the lockdown ward. Was over a week, and then I went to another facility where some of the nurses and staff were wonderful actually, but oh my God, there were some of them too that were just such, especially psychiatrists. They were just not. They were not there to help you. They were there to push you through, and that's what I saw. They were there to push you through a system
and sell their drugs
and give you a pill and just really leave you. And then when you do get out, all of a sudden, this is what you're faced with. At the time, I had one of the pills that they had given me. One of the nurses had told me to check up on this pill, and she slipped a note. Like, this is how bad it is. The nurse had to slip a note in my pocket secretly to tell me that the pill that my doctor had given, that the psychiatrist had given to me, was very, very harmful. I had since, I should wish I remember the name. I've done some research to it, and then that pill alone that would cost something like $500 a month for just this one pill, and then they were giving me other pills, so it was going to be something like $1,000 a month on medication. You know, right there, it's like you want to talk about anxiety, and they're trying to make it like you have to take these pills, and it's awful how I even was believing them, that I believed them that I had a problem. That I think that's one of the hardest things to deal with.
They make you believe it.
They make you, yeah. Everybody can't be wrong. I must be the one that has the problem. But anyway, I went to after I finally got out of there, I went to see my family doctor, who was actually he was outraged that this happened to me, and he had been trying to warn my family, and he had warned me a few times that there was way too much interference going on. And
we're talking about Dr. Rani.
Dr. Rani, yeah, he was a wonderful doctor, actually. And I told him about the pill, you know, some of the medication that they had given me. And this particular one, I'm not sure if it's Zyprexia. I'll have to get the name anyway to warn anybody. Never go on this thing. It would make me, I would be 300 pounds within this next 6 months. And that's another thing that happened. As soon as I started taking these pills, I gained 15 pounds in a week. So, I mean, very unhealthy. I never had high blood pressure in my life. I've always been healthy. I've once been in the hospital, never even taken penicillin. And all of a sudden now I've got health problems I have to worry about. I'm worrying about I have to go get my blood checked. I can't go in the sun because of the medications I'm taking. I'm not allowed to have a drink, according to them, to not one single drink, which, you know, is your life is just like completely controlled. All it is going to be about is about having this so-called label, which there is absolutely no proof to what bipolar is. You have got to see the questions they ask you. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's like a list of 7 questions, and any one of them can be misconstrued anyway. Something like, have you been sleeping regularly? Have you been spending a lot of money recently? And the thing too is, all those questions I answered no to, and they still want to label you with something, right? Anyway, since then I found a lot about the psychiatric industry, both of us, and I found out that I'm not the crazy one. Actually, they've never cured anybody, and if you want to, another thing I started was researching people with bipolar. There are so many great. I find too a lot of artistic people, a lot of great minds. I'll give you some. I did this too to kind of beef up my my self-confidence for one thing, but it was just amazing about who are some of the Ludwig van Beethoven, Jimi Hendrix, Margot Kidder, Brian Wilson, Sylvia Plath, one of the greatest artists that I've read. How many more? There's just the list goes on and on. Just Google famous bipolar people, and you're just going to be amazed too. Then you start looking at some of their stories. Virginia Woolf, Edgar Allan Poe. How about that?
Mark Twain.
Mark Twain. How about Mark Twain? What are all these? These are original thinkers. All of these people are
thinking outside of the box.
Yeah. And what do? They classify them because they don't want you. That's what I've come to the conclusion is the system does not want us. They don't want people that are creative. They don't want people that don't go along with their rules and the regulations.
They want the beehive mentality.
Yeah. All little good workers.
Beehive mentality.
Yeah.
The Queen's actually got the beehive on her shoulder as a lapel.
Yeah.
And it's a beehive. It's got the bees going in and out.
I know. That's another thing that we've done a lot of research is symbolism and where this all stems from. And I mean, this goes down to, since recorded time, we have been controlled by a group of elite people that don't want to give up their power and have used every dirty trick in the book to
Keep us down.
yeah. It's a war on our consciousness, and we no longer know, and so many people don't know right from wrong anymore. It's and it's getting I think it's come to a pinnacle now where society now is breaking out of it, because we've seen too so many from the time we started off, and
Yeah, it was like we were the only ones awake. Felt like we were just talking to ourselves.
yeah, and that's how we met too. As soon as we met, we were like, oh my god.
You know that? Oh my God. Did you hear that? Oh, you know about
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
And it was so dear, you're supposed to be interviewing me. What's your next question?
Well, you were also looking at things as a whole in general, because that's the type of person you are, the type of thinking you are.
Yeah, I guess I did a test once about, when you these questionnaires where the left brain versus right brain, and I'm exactly in the middle, 50-50. So I'm an analytical person, but I'm also a creative person, and so I think I have a good what we're doing now, I think, suits both of our personalities, because we also we feel that it's we've got to be creative about this times coming, and we got to be hopeful, and we're seeing good things happen, but we're also going to see it's like birthing a new world, I guess, is what we're going through right now. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know how much more turmoil the world's going to have to go through before more people wake up. But radio stations like this are all part of the healing process. I think most people now too know something's wrong. I mean, you can't. I've been checking the message boards out, and the difference from what I used to read to what I'm reading now, it's like, I mean,
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, the level of awakening that people that are out there that are awake now, and what they're saying and how they're saying it. It's a good sign. It's a very good sign.
Yeah. We've come to know too a lot of young people, right? And the younger generation definitely is more awake than people of our generation. That's for sure. I think part of the problem, part of the reason too, is because they are put in now a situation where there's no job. There's hardly any. There's not really much hope for them anymore. It's like you're going to work on some slave wage job, and no matter how much education you have,
You got tuition fees.
you've got we see protests all over the world. It's
the students.
Yeah, the students are
A
the
lot
ones.
of the protests are all students. Not the well-established people or people who already have a job and a career, but it's the next generation who's going, what are we going to have? That's why they're on the streets.
Yeah, did you see yesterday in Chile?
In Chile, in Brazil, in Turkey,
Brazil.
There was over 1 million people out there in Brazil yesterday.
The media here is saying 100,000, so probably
It was 1 million. It was
Yeah.
over 1 million.
I saw 1 million on one of it. So people are definitely waking up. There's no doubt about that. And throughout this kind of journey too, we've kind of seen where a lot of the problems lie too with the system, and how I think one of the biggest problems is that people are just doing their job, and they do it no matter. They don't look. They're all compartmentalized, and they're in their little box, and they're just processing their little piece of paper, and they're not seeing the outcome. They're not looking at it any further, and it's.
And a lot of them want to stay in denial.
Yeah.
They don't want to see it. They don't want to be disturbed by it.
Especially those that are comfortable.
Yes.
It takes tragedy sometimes to wake people up, and or something.
It's sad, but it's true.
Yeah, and I have to admit, I mean, part of my waking up was part of the situations that I did go through that did make me unhappy. Were the things too that I learned the most from, and it made me grow. And it also, I think, one of the most important things, and I've noticed this from people, it makes you feel empathy, because then all of a sudden you can relate to someone who has financial problems, someone who has medical problems, someone who has mental issues. Mental issues are becoming. There are a lot of people out there that are feeling such great anxiety, and I think probably it's more sane to feel anxiety in a world, this world that we're given. That's a healthy reaction, and we need to really, like, I think psychology, and actually that's what Al's going to be studying. We're going to need a lot of healers out in the world to help this kind of situation. It's going to end. The universe will not let this go on. It's going to, it has to change. It's one thing is inevitable. It's change, and
it's how we get there.
It's how we get
and
there.
what we have to see before we get there.
Yeah.
That's right. Did you always know you were going to do this? Be an activist? And
I've always been an active. I remember my brother once said, like, I'm the hippie type, the one that, like, was always against authority, against the system. I live with the system and that, but I always was the one to speak up against. I've never believed in any type of war, ever. I never imagined that, nuking a couple of cities to stop a war. I knew at that time that was a lie. I've seen that kind of thing all my life.
You're talking about Hiroshima?
Yeah.
Japan, right?
Yeah. So I've always kind of known that, and I've always wanted to do something, but I also lived a very comfortable life. At the time when all this happened, I was probably
on property.
Yeah, I was living in a beautiful in Toronto, probably one of the nicest streets in Toronto, and one of the nicest houses in Toronto, and I always loved. I love life too. That's another thing. I love nature. I love art and decorating. I love to read. I really enjoy this world, and I hate to say, oh my God, when I see things that are destroying this world and all for profit, and it profits who? It's. So I've always had this feeling that I need to do something, and if it's things by just speaking out about my own experience, and I kind of just follow through synchronicity too, and see where the world brings me. And we have to live in this world too. We have to go along with it to a certain extent, but just have to have faith too that you're going in the right direction.
So what about school? When you went to school? You went back to school? You went back to school, right?
Yeah, I've gone back to school a couple of times.
Well, what about this time?
This time, I just finished. Actually, yesterday was graduation. I just got my degree in for graphic design, because this is another thing, Al and I, when we first met, but one of our plans were, until we got very much sidetracked, which we'll leave that for another day. But we've always been planning on, like, building a website and offering this type of information, and also something to support local artists and things like for health and different things like that. We had, before we left Toronto, we had actually gone out and had drummed up. You wouldn't believe how much business within a month or two? A short period of time. There's so many people that were interested in getting involved in this. And it's funny, too, because most of them were artists. All the artists were, we had people that were had offered their services.
Street artists. Yeah. A lot of street artists.
Yeah, and they were offering their services for nothing.
Brilliant.
A lot of brilliant people that were meeting, and things were... but I see, too, now, like, we weren't ready... we didn't have enough knowledge, first of all, to build a website and that. So now I've got some of that under my belt. So it's another thing that we want to get involved with too. And
it was basically a website to house local artists and local farmers and
support community.
Yeah, yes.
We're a strong believer in community.
Yes, use the 50-mile rule.
Yeah,
that's where you can you eat within your community. So that actually takes away the trucking costs and the shipping costs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you support local.
You know where you're eating, more importantly, too. I mean, gee, I didn't at the time. We didn't have any idea what we found out now about how our food system's been manipulated, and that's another beautiful thing that I've been watching is this March on Monsanto.
Yes, the March on Monsanto was very good.
And it's something that's
They're actually taking them to court now.
yeah, and that these things aren't going to stop. So we're seeing a snowball effect. I think it starts off with probably one of the most important things, our food, and now our water. I don't know, but here in Canada, if you people have heard about it, but the natives are trying to stop the fracking going on in New Brunswick, and so this is starting to get out in the papers, and people are starting to realize with the tar sands and the amount of how we're destroying our world for energy, and energy is it should be abundant. There's all kinds of technologies out there that could be used, but once again we're being controlled by the same
I think they're
people.
holding the technologies back.
Yeah.
Oh, and regarding the fracking and everything, all the good water that we waste and destroy and stuff like that.
Yeah, and how about the fluoride they're putting in our water?
Yes.
Another thing that we, and people, I don't know how many people too I know that have gone and they have complained about it and no one listens. Well, now I think people are going to start to have to listen. We're looking at our children. How many children have different kind of disorders, and how much has that been caused by the chemicals in our food, what they're putting in our water, what they're putting in our air, chemtrails, and I mean the list goes on and on. That we can't no longer turn a blind eye, and people have got to band together. I think, and that's why this group here. I've been listening to a lot of the shows, and there's some really wonderful information that that people are trying to spread the message out there, and it's great to feel camaraderie too. I think that's one of the biggest things when you feel like you're alone, and then it becomes like this daunting task that it's just insurmountable. But when we need the global consciousness needs to wake up. It's
maybe rise up to even a higher level.
Yeah, and the more
it is happening.
Yeah, and the more I think, the more we've both been studying this, we kind of have this feeling that this is inevitable, and this is part of our part of the stage of humanity, that we need to take responsibility for our own selves. We have to stop looking at government. Government is the way our government is structured right now. It's going to do nothing but enslave us. It's going to make prisoners out of all of us. We've dealt through the legal system, and we see the amount of energy and waste and the destruction it does to families for little simple things like we can. We're going to have somebody on that will tell you what happened to his life because of smoking one joint. It's just unbelievable how one little thing can happen in a person's life, that with all the different bodies out there that are, this nanny state that's trying to look after you. I mean, I'm a perfect example for it. I think people were thinking they were looking after me. Meanwhile, what they're doing is they're putting you into some Skinner's box, I would say,
Absolutely.
And Al, well, why don't you talk a little bit of your awakening experience? I mean, you've had, when you started waking up.
Oh, I woke up when I listened to David Icke. When I started listening to David Icke, and when I first saw the first Zeitgeist movie, I spent 2 weeks on the toilet. I couldn't believe it.
Oh my God! Remember, that was another thing that happened to us. So but Al, actually, you were awake before then. But that's when you saw like the true extent. But Al, you were the one showing me all these movies, and Al showing me like The Matrix and.
Yeah, but not to the extent.
No. Yeah, and I
this.
wasn't either awake. We grew together, that's for sure. But so we're thinking, oh my, everybody's going to be interested in finding out what's really going on in this world. So
nobody was interested.
No, nobody was interested. We started emailing people and trying to get our families involved, and actually that caused a lot more harm than it did any good. But but at the time, we didn't know how to approach it too. So that's another thing too. You have to be delicate about it. It's not people's fault. They've been lied to
And grew up that way.
yeah, because most I don't know anyone that's a bad person. You know, I don't know anyone that does anything other than because they're ignorant. And I don't mean to say that in a derogatory way. They've ignored the fact that they're not cognizant of what is going on, and a lot of people are afraid and they don't want to get out of their nice little comfortable box. It's like that movie that the cave where.
Yes. Like the cave.
Yeah.
Didn't want to look or go outside of the cave.
Yeah.
He rather stayed chained and locked up because that was their reality.
Yeah, so when you get two people like Al and I going, hey guys, look.
Hey, look.
And then we're also looking too at all the good things that can be done. Like once we can get over this hurdle, I think the world could change. It wouldn't take long if if we all band together. First of all, this whole concept of money. Money is nothing but a tool to enslave you. What is money? It means nothing. All we have really is our energy that's worth something, and we have our world that replenishes it. It's this lack, this fear of lack has just been something that has been given to us, we've had a lot of propaganda.
That's what we're finding out about the oil, that it actually replenishes itself.
Yeah, there's no oil shortage.
There's no oil shortage.
There's no reason to be using oil for every single product.
That's true. And there's no reason to be going to other nations and bombing them.
Yeah, killing them.
For this product.
Yeah.
It's true.
No, I know. We've got. There's a lot of work to do. It's funny too because when I was going through before I went to the hospital, I went, and it was after Hurricane Katrina. I took a trip to Mexico. And it was just unreal how everything. I was all of a sudden offered. I had a free air flight out there. I had a free hotel. The whole thing. It was just like I was destined to go to this place, and it was just after Hurricane Katrina.
And nobody was there. You guys are the only one in the hotel.
It was the number one. It was the oldest hotel in Cancun. It was right on the strip between. It was just like there was one world and another world, and it was just like such an analogy to me about what was going on. There was one natural world, and then there was this other world of Cancun with the fake buildings and the fake pirate ships and
fake pyramid.
Like when you're awake too, and you start seeing this, and you're looking at it, and you're going, "Oh my God, these people are a bunch of fools," with their. Well, anyways, a lot of things happened to me on that trip that I could only say were. It was almost like when I listened to David Icke, and he talked about how what happened to him. It was like I went there and I met the Mayans, and I met a group of people, and I still don't to this day know exactly how the whole thing occurred or whatever, but they were showing me different things. They were showing me about the oil, about how everything's made out of plastic, and they were like, meanwhile we have these plants that grow that could be used for these baskets that grow in in a matter of a couple of days. I went to a Mayan village. We never heard of this, but there was another hurricane right after Hurricane Katrina that also affected this area. So they had two hurricanes. So I go through this village. They had rebuilt their village twice. I saw people there that looked so happy. They had their houses were all up. They had their fruits and vegetable stands. They had.
It didn't affect them.
No, it didn't affect them. Like they were able to rise up a bit
and do it together.
Yeah, they worked together, and it was really one of these.
Some interesting people you met there too.
Yeah, I went on this. It was an eco tour, so it ended up that one of the couple and that were on the trip, there was the grandmother and two of the children. He ended up being the brother of the president of Mexico, and the trip was strange. So
was that Fox? Was that Fox? That guy's name Fox, or was the one before?
Well, it was the one before that.
Was before him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I forget. Right now, I wasn't planning on talking about this, but anyway, and then to find out too how they're like all of a sudden now they own the they were actually, the guy was a total was, what could I say the word, he was was like he felt he had the right to own, they felt like they had the right to own this country, and they were so distant and far, and the people on the bus were nice. There was a couple, one of the couples that was there was from had just gotten married the day of Hurricane Katrina and lived in Louisiana, and I was just listening to some of their stories and how they had looked at the Mexicans and had thought that the Mexicans were there stealing their jobs, and then they saw how they were living in the country. Like, they were the ones that were awake, while this very diplomatic family were the ones that were asleep, I would say. And
You danced with one of their kids.
well, that was another story. I got a lot of stories about Mexico, but that's about the moves. But that's enough.
Met the moves.
Yeah, well, that got me. It's funny too how things happen. So that got me researching different things. The person that I was holding the tour, I got friendly with them and the family that were running the hotel, and they kind of told me, like, we've got a lot of work to do, and it's yeah, some unusual situations. Anyway, so what else? So tell us some of your experiences, Al. Just because it's your birthday, it doesn't mean you don't have to. What's the one thing that you've learned throughout this?
I learned that it's not about the money. It's always been about the control. That's what we've always been under, some form of control, and everything else has been just little snippets of little control mechanisms and stuff that have been put into place to totally keep us off balance and not us actually stir us away from probably our real potential of who we really are and what we're really supposed to be doing on this planet. And that's what they've actually done to us.
Yeah, and you know what, when we first met too, before we knew all like the gory details, let's call them the gory details of what was going on, we both knew that this was a spiritual battle. That's the first thing that we said.
That's right.
Like this really, and this, I like Michael Tarzan says, we can't leave consciousness at the door. It's another person we've probably been listening to another thing we've been studying is natural law, and that's something that we want to get the word out about. We want to natural law is the law that we should be focusing on, and it's something that's been hidden from us for so long. There are rules of the universe, just like there's rules of gravity. There's and they make so much sense when you look at the different laws, like the law of attraction. But we need to do this as a global community, because just doing things, the secret is really the secret. It's true. It does. What you pay attention to, that's where your energy goes, right? So it makes sense. If you're going to pay attention to something, then that's the outcome that you're going to get. But if everybody's out there paying attention to their own fears, well, what do you do? We're going to look at our world. We're going to get a world that's filled with fear and greed.
Yes, it affects the world and spreads like a cancer.
I've got a song loaded if you guys need a break.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll have a couple of minute break. Would be great. Welcome, and now we have Paula joining us. We were just talking during the break, and we were talking about synchronicity. and how how things happen like they're destined to happen. Paula, what were you saying again?
Yes. Hi, everybody. It was funny because you were saying how you and Al had discussed wanting to get a show, and how and then I come along and say, hey, you guys sound love your post, love what you're about. You want to do a show? It's like this path, because you wake up and like you said, we get this information and go, oh my God, I have to tell. No, but and we tell our families and our friends, and they all start whispering behind our back about straight jackets and crap like that. and then you start, and they like come back at you like you're crazy. The government would never hurt us. They're there to protect us. Blah blah blah. And you just, and you start feeling like you're alone in the world. And then one by one, these people are put in your path, and I still had the tune on. I'm so terrible.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Such an amateur. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Oh, gosh. Amateurs. But anyway, no.
Hey, that's okay. Yeah.
That's all of us. I like
exactly.
I like to bring everyone in the pool with me when I'm in trouble.
We're all learning this together, right?
Yes, exactly. That's so true. But that we meet each other, and all of a sudden, in our path, these amazing people come on, and it just starts like a stone drops. You take the next step. We're headed towards something, Lisa. I totally believe that.
Yeah. What do you feel?
And I think, like you said, there's some bad coming first, but out of that, this whole new way is going to come up. I love the 50-mile radius thing that Al was talking about.
Yeah, it's the 50-mile rule. And what it is, you shop and you eat local. And that actually keeps your community within the community going. And we actually advertise their products and stuff, because there's a lot of farmer markets around here with local people who grow their own food, and from animals, poultry and whatever you have. But also it could be local artists too, can also be in that mix too. So we're supporting our own local musicians and artisans and speakers and poets and writers. So we're actually getting them out, whereas they would just, never be, maybe even get to see the light of the day without
Absolutely, because there are treasures around us that we have yet to discover.
We don't even know. Exactly.
There's probably anything you can get at Walmart or Macy's. Somebody near you probably can do a way better job by hand.
Exactly, and you're getting something new, unique. You're not paying. You're not. And the other thing too, I mean, what are we contributing to in third world countries by buying this crap? We're certainly not helping them.
No.
And we're not helping ourselves, our communities.
We're helping stock the sweatshops.
Exactly.
That's right.
For what?
And actually, when we do help a local artist out or a local farmer out, we actually feel good about it. Like, we really actually feel good about it. Not just that, I just went and used my Interact card at Walmart, and I'm going home, and I'm...
I got my Father's Day present there. Something he doesn't need is going to be thrown, we've also been brainwashed into believing that we need all these things, which we certainly don't. They don't... Where are we putting? They're ending up in some land waste somewhere. I mean, just the packaging alone for some of these products is just ridiculous. What we're doing to ourselves for what?
Exactly. And people, they spend so much time just working and working to buy these things. They have premature heart attacks. They don't know their family. They don't get to see them. They come home. They try to sleep as fast as they can. Get up, maybe mow the lawn or write some bills, and they're off again. And what kind of life is that? I
Oh my
know
God.
so
It's the
many people who
hamster
think
wheel
they're
life.
so successful, and that is their sad little life to me. Every once in a while, they'll have a big purchase and have everyone come over to see it and celebrate with them. And I think, you poor, poor person. I feel so bad that
No,
this
really,
is
it's
what
one of the
your life is.
one of the biggest addictions. I was really surprised to find out is shopping, and it's one of the
Yeah.
ones that hit people the fastest and the hardest. That and
Oh,
gambling.
oh my gosh, yes.
And what is it for? It's for something that's not real. It's like trying to fill a hole. We had a psychologist who, when we had the rental unit, one of the women that lived in the one of the units, she was a psychologist that dealt with issues with gambling. Actually,
She
was
worked right at Woodbine at the racetrack, and she had her own office there where, because apparently it's a gambling institution, that they have to have a rehab place in the gambling institution. So they
Oh
look,
my God, does
oh,
that not tell you
check
anything?
this out. I know. We're helping you.
uh,
We're a good, legitimate business.
yeah. And who's involved in the gambling? I mean, this is another thing that's ironic. The government. Like. And anyways, this woman what her feeling was is people have these addictions is because they are lacking something. They're lacking love in their life. So to fill this void, they need something to fill a void, and shop and things to do with gambling and that
Right.
it gives them maybe a few moments of not thinking of maybe the lack
The hole in their life.
That's how I describe it too. It's just some of these people, they have to accumulate more and more. It's like they're trying to fill a bottomless hole,
Filling
something that
voids.
can never be filled, and they're just shoving and
Exactly.
shoving, and it is really sad.
Yeah. And then they become hamsters on the hamster wheel. Just running in circles, doing the same thing to get the same thing over again.
But like you said about the cave and the chains, they love that wheel.
That's right. They're addicted to the wheel. That's right. They're addicted to the wheel.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's the least of us, that we've gone all the way through this. We've gotten to a place. A lot of us are struggling. I am. I've got 3 sons. I'm here doing it on my own. I'm struggling my butt off. A lot of the hosts, are getting some rough times. It's a rough time in the world financially, but it's us that's got to move those in the little hamster boxes, because they're the ones, I think, in my opinion, are putting the brakes on. They don't want to leave that cave. They
That's
don't
right.
want to. It's going good for them.
They don't want to
all
look
those
outside
hours
of
of
the
work,
cave.
no family time. That's going good for them. They've got a new jacuzzi or boat or a big vacation in mind that keeps them. It's like a stick hanging just out of the reach, and they're running, running, running to get that, and they love it. And they're the ones, to me, that's stopping us. A lot of them know too. They've let some of our information leak in. They're thinking, "Oh God, yeah." But if I just don't think about it, I like my life. It's sad because they've been, inoculated and fluoridated and chemtrailed to death, and
They're
it's
the
not
biggest
their
victims,
fault.
Paula.
Exactly. That's why it's so sad.
They're victims, Paula. That's why I guess that's why we do this, because we have compassion for them, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
And what we're doing will reach ears. It may make some people mad the first few times they hear it. And the year after that, they'll be sharing the same things. Listen to Lisa now, see what they have to say,
Right.
and they'll be the ones passing it on. And that's our goal, I believe.
Yeah. And another thing too is we were all there at one time. I think not very many people are born awake, and
That's true.
I mean, I like my pretty things, and I like my houses, and I like my furniture, and
Hmm.
I enjoyed those things in life too. But I'll tell you one thing: when we lost it all, What was the only thing we missed? We had to sell our camera.
Our
No, not the
our
camera.
We
camera
had one
was
of the
the
best
only thing that we missed the most. We called it our eyes.
Oh,
Because well, we were using the camera too
Taking pictures. Yeah.
for part of like documenting what's going on and doing so that was so I mean like everything and then also too of course your personal like your my artwork that I had done my all my my scrapbooks and things like that, right? But as for
yeah.
anything else, I can't say really that
I missed anything.
I miss anything, you know. What I do miss, what I miss the most though, is not having my independence. That to me is one of the most hardest things to live with. When all of a sudden you're having to depend on a system that you don't really have much faith in to, and
And you're looking to them for everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's wow. That's a hard place to be.
yeah. So we really feel like we have to kind of and they're not, we're both starting over again because we have lost everything and we're not in the and we're seeing what the youth has got to go through. I remember when I first started looking for a job, I started working when I was 15, and the first day I went in, I had 3 job offers. Like there was jobs aplenty, and for the next, you could leave a job and go somewhere else and get a better job, and things were always going up. Well, the last time I must have sent out I don't know how many resumes or whatever, and like it was just there's nothing out there.
I just heard a story the other night from someone up north, and they were going through this town, and they had to stop for a couple of days. There was a manager position opening up at McDonald's. There was almost 1,000 people in line for that job.
That's right.
Oh my God!
That's right.
Yeah.
And the turnaround in these places are huge because they know they can get somebody else.
Oh yeah, they won't. If they keep them less than 90 days, they don't even have to pay insurance.
Exactly.
Well, that's the
And they got their pick. They can just call somebody because people. Well, I'll be there in 10 minutes, so I can have that job over the next guy.
Yeah, and then they're working all kinds of hours
or not enough hours.
Or not enough hours to get
benefits,
yeah.
Or whatever, right?
But and they're working them like they're slaves, too. And it's how people though take advantage of this. Like that's another thing where the consciousness has got to rise up to go like this is not right what I'm doing. If I'm an employer and I'm not treating my people fairly. It's how many times do you see that too? Or they're using. How about this one? People don't have it. They're using free labor.
Volunteers.
Oh God, you guys are touching all over this. I have got to speak up. And when he gets back into town, my husband was laid off from work most of the year last year. He worked for about 3 months and was laid off 2 weeks before Christmas. And again, you know what jobs are like. So he was on unemployment for a while, and they sent him to this trucking company. Get your commercial license. They're going to house you and put you up, and then you pay them back. So he gets to this place, and there are so many people. They're having to crowd them in, all these men, and they're putting them in these cheap hotels everywhere. They're barely feeding them. And if they don't make it, there's not only do they not give them any way home, they're stranded, or feed them or anything, but their unemployment stops because of it. So they get there, okay, the drug test wiped out about half of them.
Oh,
now
yeah,
these guys are stranded.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? People are like, okay, I got a job, I got to take a drug test, you've got to take a drug test. I don't think anyone should have to take one for their... Why do they need your body fluids?
Yeah, exactly. This is just another method of control.
More laws is not the way. There has to be another way to get through whatever they want to do or whatever they want to accomplish, tit for tat, whatever. But
and
more
are they
laws
finding marijuana?
is not the
Somebody's
way.
smoking marijuana? Is that kind of drug testing that they're doing?
Yeah.
How about all those people that have a drink at night, or like it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah. Well, I heard stories. There's people. There's a whole families living outside the car outside this place too. And a couple of guys come in. They've been driving now. They're moving the stuff for this company, who I guess is affiliated with the state, since they seem to be spiderwebbed in with each other. Quit this job or get fired. You don't get your unemployment, or if you don't make it, you don't get it. That's some kind of mark in their book, but. So they're leaving men, and these men were broke before they went on this crap, No money, no nothing, stranded. And the ones that are continuing to work because they just want to get through it, one of them got, worked for 2 months, got a check for $25, another one for less than that.
Oh
so
my God.
This company has this stream of free drivers being brought to them by the state, by the government.
Well, it's just like that TV show that's on A&E. It's called Garage Wars.
It looks like a prison camp there. It doesn't look like a freaking school. But I'm sorry, Al. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was just going to mention, because you were on that subject, on A&E, Arts and Entertainment Channel out here, we've got this show called Garage Wars, where people are bidding for people's, you know how people store their stuff in those storage places?
Yeah, so say you lost your house, right?
So you lost your house and all your stuff is in there. But now you're totally broke and you can't pay your $300 a month to keep your stuff in storage. It goes to these people who bid on it, hoping that they're going to find some treasure or something inside there. And they actually made a TV show about it. So if you think about it, what is it? These guys are, plundering somebody else's...
vulturing. Let's watch them
yes. And
go through somebody's life.
Oh my God, when we were going... when the bank was foreclosing on our house because they were holding up our checks somewhere along the line, and the banks, after a rental property, right, we're 2 weeks late on the mortgage. This is totally illegal what they're doing, and they're foreclosing on us while they're holding our money. Like, it was just crazy. But the vultures that came in were unbelievable, because now you're in a position where you're really getting you think we need some money to get over this, right? And so we're trying to sell stuff. Oh, remember that one? It was and the lawyers that get involved, and
what I'm trying to say is that when stuff is going bad like this, there's also a new breed of evil rises up in human nature, where people are actually making money off of other people's downfall.
That is an evil. That is a big, ugly evil. How,
yes.
And they get off on it, and
they have a TV show about it.
They have two. They have one here. I think it's
a reality TV
Storage
show.
Wars. Yeah.
Storage Wars. Okay, I was saying Garage Wars. We're talking about the same show. It's Storage Wars. That's right.
Yeah.
Storage Wars.
Did you ever see that movie, They Live?
It's been so long. I did years ago. My memory's not what it was, Lisa. I don't.
Yeah, I know. There's so many things to watch. But anyway, you have to watch it again, because what we're talking about, and when you look to what's going on and with the media, and it's the one where the media, all of a sudden you see that they're just a bunch of robots. They're not real people, and they're just there like.
Oh, God,
it's where he puts on the glasses and he can actually see who they are for what they really are. When he takes off the glasses, they look like normal people. But when he puts on the glasses, he sees that they're not even human. They've lost their humanness. They're actually like machines walking around.
That isn't far from the truth, is it?
Yeah. It was like, it was a metaphor for what's going on.
I wonder if we had...
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Isn't that what the goal is, to make us all zombies, the workforce?
Yeah.
And that's where we have to take responsibility. I mean, we can blame everything on the 1%, but it just ain't the case. There's a lot more than getting rid of these people that are super mega rich, that are controlling things. It's a lot deeper than that.
really is. They've just come at us in so many different directions, and I think that's part of their game plan too.
No,
Hit them from the
definitely.
Yeah.
sky, hit them from the pharmaceutical area, hit us, throw us in wars, grab our taxes, train us in the schools. We've got so many areas that are coming at us at once. They've planned it well.
Oh, they're definitely geniuses. But who is they? They is a bunch of
Jordan!
think tanks with a lot of people like us that are just doing their job. And I think that's the thing that one of the worst is the way they've compartmentalized everybody. So you don't know. Even like throughout when I was going through the system, I would meet good people, and they weren't allowed to talk. I remember when we went through the legal system, talking to lawyers, and lawyers would say, okay, they would say off the record, but I won't give you my name. I won't say anything, but we have to look at the judges. The judges are in there on the tape. Different things like that, but they're not allowed. They sign contracts where they're not even allowed to talk.
I need to step away. I'll be right back. You guys go right ahead. Got a little child thing going on here. Thanks.
Okay, you go look after.
Well, it's like the shipping contract. What about the shipping contract that happened out here, where Irving's was going to build ships and everybody was going to get jobs, and people from all over Canada started moving back home to Nova Scotia because this was supposed to be a $1 billion.
They took how much money and advertised this campaign? Our tax-paying money. The Irving
advertising.
Yeah,
and
I don't know if anybody how much they're aware of the Irvings, but the Irvings basically run the Maritimes out here in Canada, and they're the third biggest landowners in the United States too. But they're supposedly just the good old boys.
That's right.
And
so they were going to build ships. That's exactly what they were going to do. They were going to build ships. So
warships.
Warships. Oh,
Like
yeah, that's right. Warships.
Warships. Like we need more warships in this world.
Yes. They were going to replace Canada's old dying fleet of warships, and they were going to give the contracts, and they were going to build $30 billion worth of warships. I think it was even more than that. But all kinds of young kids and students decided to go and get their electrical license and welding license over at NACC. And they went to school thinking that by the time they finished school that the contract would be happening and that they would have a job. Little do we know, today those kids have finished school and there is absolutely no shipping contract. There is no ships being built. It's being stalled. And it's being stalled, and these kids now are having to leave the province of Nova Scotia to go and work elsewhere, back out to.
There is only one place to work, and that's the tar sands.
It's the tar sands.
They're all working in Alberta, and even though they know what it's doing, they're left with very little options. So this is how it happens. How we contribute to our own. Raping and pillaging of the planet.
And what about the other option is to join the military out here, because there's a huge military family out here that everybody has to go through to go if you want to further your education. If you want to,
it's very enticing.
Yeah, they entice you with that. Oh, we'll give you free education. We'll give you room and board. You can get paid and all that.
Yeah,
and people join the military out here thinking that, it is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, because at one time, too, the military out here was not involved. They have been involved in also in the last, I would say, how many years? Well, since Afghanistan. I'm sure things went on before, but it was nowhere near as what it's coming to now that they're actually having, we were known as a peacekeeping nation. And now all of a sudden we've got boots on the ground and we're hearing a lot of stories of
about Libya when we were out there.
Yeah. We're all of a sudden promoting all the CIA guys, like the ones that are going after there for oil, where for a job. So so these kids are selling their souls, basically doing things that they don't want to do.
That's the last option.
Yeah, and that's what's been going on in the States for God knows how long.
That's right.
I mean, it's a lot worse out there than it is here, but.
It's happening here too.
It's happening here now, and it's happening quickly.
You can actually see it.
Yeah.
That's what they're always saying. Oh, I'm just going to get my grade 12 education and I'm going to join the military.
Yeah, because that's the only option I have. So if that's all you're left with, what are you going to do? That or work at Tim Hortons, McDonald's,
Walmart.
Yeah, and never mind that. How many women do we know that are in their they're in their 50s, 60s, they're carrying 3 jobs, trying to support themselves.
And not just that, their kids have moved back in home.
Yeah.
And are living in the basement apartment.
Yeah.
So many
a
kids.
lot of that. A lot of families trying to fit in one home to survive.
Yeah, that's what it is out here. No one leaves at home. They just leave to go to school and then they come back after they finish their education.
Oh, and working out in the tar sands too. I mean, that job is hell on earth. Like they're put out on these big rigs, and it's no kind of life. They're making good money, and what do they do when they make money? They go out and they end up. Most of them become drug addicts. I hate to say it, but they end up having a lot of problems when they come back. It's not like it's doing anything good for them. They're sheltered away in some godforsaken, which was once the most beautiful part of the world you can imagine. It's sad. It's really sad when you see it, when you listen to the kid. I think because both of us have gone back to school.
So we're actually talking to the kids firsthand. And that's what they're telling us. They're telling us, well, there's only 2 options for us. Join the military or go work in the tar sands.
Yeah. And you live in Florida, right?
Yes, I'm sorry. We're having a full-blown autistic meltdown right here.
Oh, go take care of don't worry about us.
I'm sorry. This is vaccinations in the raw form.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'll be listening.
Okay, Polly, take care. Yeah. So for the youth of the world, and that's why we're seeing the youth of the world.
Revolting.
Because it's no different.
They're revolting actually against the system that we helped put in.
Yeah.
So they're
exactly.
Revolting.
Yeah.
They're revolting.
I think that's another part of the thing that I feel responsibility about is there's no way I can leave this world not doing whatever I can do to make sure that I'm not leaving a horrific life for the next generation. I mean, what else do we have in our... Why else are we here? Are we here to collect things?
We're actually just borrowing the planet from them. Because they're the ones who are going to be here after us.
Yeah, exactly.
So we do feel like we have a responsibility to do our part.
That's for sure. And that's another one of the another beautiful movement I've been seeing is the Idle No More movement out here, especially out here in Canada. I'm kind of a lot of my Facebook friends and that are very we're up to date on what's going on, and the way too that the natives have been demonized, and oh my God, this was their land. There's so many rules. No treaties have been honored. And then corporations are just going on their land and doing what they want and destroying it. And they know they are the people that understand. I think that's part of the reason they have been demonized so much is because they do care about what is going on with their next generation, with the world that we're living. They're very in nature.
They're very passionate about it.
Yeah. And they give me actually a lot of hope, and it's funny too because there's so many prophecies and that have come from the natives, and that where they're warning us and they're telling us what's going on, and
like the Hopi prophecy.
Yeah, and this is now. And they do say there's going to be a time when the rainbow, that rainbow prayer, where there's going to be people from all different nations and walks of life, and that banding together and realizing that we've got to do this together. We've got to stop even segregating each other. We're all humans. We're all here on this earth. We've been given
we're one big family.
Yeah, and this divide and conquer type of thing. What they do with the Muslims too. Now it's the Muslims. When I was a kid, it was cowboys and Indians, and they were the bad guys, and then that did start. I did see a change in the attitude towards that, but now they're doing it with Muslims, and still, it's all the after effects, the aftershocks, and then now government is not looking at. They're looking after their corporate interests, and they don't want to bring up these subjects because there's a lot of touchy situations going on that need to get to court, and there needs to be some kind of actual justice somewhere along the line.
I think it is going on, and they're just brushing it under the carpet and keeping it out of the media, the mainstream media, and they're focusing on, this mayor, he's in trouble, that mayor is in trouble, that
Rob Ford
from Toronto, and the mayor from
yesterday
Montreal.
it was Montreal.
Yesterday was
the month
Montreal.
before it was the mayor from Laval. It's this MP and that. There's one scandal. I can't keep up with all the scandals that are going on right now.
Even Trudeau's son.
Yeah.
He's been accused of taking money from donations and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's charging $20,000 to some charity group.
Charity groups.
Yeah,
That's right.
to help them. Yeah, so he tried for a speaking engagement. So this type of thing, which I don't think are right, but it's not the root cause of the problem. It's much bigger.
It's even
than
higher
that.
up, and I think they're using these things to actually divert and cover. It's probably even bigger. It's a lot bigger.
Yeah. We all grew up too, knowing that there was a lot of corruption going on. There's corruption in the police force, and it's that's another important message too. Is that I know a lot of people that are good people that work for these institutions, and but it just takes like one bad apple to create, to go along with orders, or some psychopath that does something, and then everybody just sticks up for each other, and we don't. We're just creating more and more problems by not really looking at the root problem. Yeah.
Which is higher up.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing fascism actually coming on us if we don't do something about it. We're allowing corporations to rule. We're allowing money to rule the day, and they're not really giving us any leave. So the only thing that we can do, is to band together. And the more and more of us that band together and say enough is enough, and
start talking.
Yeah, start talking and start discussing and coming up with solutions, because there's all kinds of hidden technologies. There's all ways to fix our way of even using money. I don't know how many groups that I've seen come across that have different ideas of how we can build a new society that's not based on the.
Even some forms of the bartering system are good.
Yeah. Actually, bartering, I think, is a great way, like helping each other. It's having a Carol. When it comes down to it, it's community looking after each other, families looking after each other, working together and using our own energy and resources and that, and at the same time,
not giving it away.
Yeah, and we have to fight the system. Seeing how many lawyers maybe that are helping people that are in bad situations. There's all kinds of good people in all kinds of walks of life that are being marginalized, though, because we have to have more and more people outside of that box that are going to walk with them. Like, look at this whistleblower. But
yes, the Snowden.
Yeah, Snowden. He's opened up a big, huge can of worms, which I think too is opening up a lot of people going, oh my God, imagine the amount of money we're spending on surveilling
each other.
Yeah, and so, but they're opening this billions and trillions of dollar central data agency.
Well, that's how much we think we know, but how much of it that we don't even know that's being spent on these black ops operations.
All these, which is a bunch of BS to begin with, because try to get one company to know what another company's doing, like try to find a record somewhere. Like nobody's communicating with each other anyway, so all they have is a whole pile of useless information. That's all it is. And the pile of wasted energy for what? Some fictitious terrorists? Like, that we haven't, first of all, anybody that's awake knows that most of these so-called terrorists
have been false flags.
Yeah. It doesn't take you very long to start researching that and to come up with the same conclusion as this has been planned just to keep another job somewhere, right? And
create another job.
Yeah,
we need to create another job. We need to create another department. Yes, give us some more money.
Yeah. Oh, it's just not. It's not even just surveillance. It's just about how about all the needless doodads we have. Obsolescence. They don't make anything to last. Like, does this make sense? We're wasting all our energy to make $1 that's worth nothing to begin with, in order to give somebody a job. Like, it's just ludicrous when you start looking at the sense of the whole thing. So, I mean, we need to step back and go, oh my God, what are we accomplishing here?
We become the hamster wheel. The hamster and the hamster wheel. Just going in a big circle.
Yeah, running on that little ramp there, waiting for what we were listening to yesterday. Well, it's all about the treat, right? The treat. That's where the shopping comes in.
The gratification.
Yeah,
the little gratification, feeling of gratification.
Yeah.
The false gratification. Just a little joy of it for a few seconds, and then you're bored of the toy and you put it away. So you need to get another toy up to feel a little bit more gratification.
Yes.
So and then you grab it and then you put it away, and it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah. So they dangle these little things, and it's come to this. And once in a while, I think maybe they'll see we're getting a little restless, so we'll have a little reprieve or whatever. But no more time for reprieve now. Enough's enough. Or maybe in your little part of the world where they happen to be. But I think the system actually is so out of control now that they can't. They no longer can manipulate it that much, and they can't manipulate us either, because there's more and more people waking up. The internet has definitely changed. The internet is probably a bigger tool of awakening people than the Gutenheim press, and look at how that changed society. So what I think we're seeing are the reaction of finally being able to communicate worldwide about what's going on, and this person tells that person, and that person tells that person. So it's growing. It's a snowball, right? And that's what we've seen too. We've seen the snowball. So I know sometimes we're talking and we may sound like we're we're repeating ourselves, or that we think things are hopeless, or how bad this is. Well, it is that bad. The situation is that bad. But it also is that the only thing that's that bad is that it's always been that bad, but now we're really waking up to it.
So we're actually seeing it more.
Yeah. So we're just opening our eyes.
But it was always that bad.
Yeah.
It's just that we didn't know. Yeah, we were sleeping.
I think at times it probably was even a lot worse. I mean, there were when we look through different ages.
Yeah, how many times we came close to wars, nuking each other.
Yeah. Or even, just the poverty that went on.
The poverty, exactly. Yes. Yes.
The different famines that went on, and the Iron Age when people were working in those steel mills, when children were working. And we made some inroads where we had some. We had some laws. There has been some progress. I would have to say too, but it's time to steamroll ahead.
But those progresses that we're talking about, I'm sure we had something to do with it, because they realized that they're not going to go along with it anymore. We got to give them a little bit of a bigger carrot. And then all of a sudden we started getting more things and stuff. Yeah,
when's the only time humanity has made progress? Look at it. It's when they get on the streets and they say enough's enough.
That's right. When people start marching.
Yeah, just takes a couple of brave people to say, no, I'm not, it takes your Martin Luther Kings or your Gandhis or your Rosa Parks. Actually, we have a Rosa Parks out here that I don't know, not too many people are aware of, but she was one of she was before Rosa
Violet Adams.
Yeah, Violet Adams. She was
she couldn't sit in the theater where She had to sit up in the balcony because the black people were only allowed to sit in the balcony upstairs. She couldn't sit on the main floor. But she went in, bought a ticket for the main floor, and sat there. And all of a sudden, one of the ushers came and said, "You got to leave. You can't sit here. This is a whites only area." This was right out here in Halifax. And she stood up and fought for it. And she's actually one of Halifax's greatest heroes.
Yeah.
So she's our version of the lady who didn't want to take the bus, sit in the back of the bus.
Yes, yeah. So there's how many unsung heroes that have been out there that we've never probably heard of?
Actually, those little things that happen actually cause a ripple effect and make changes.
Yeah, it's an awareness issue. Well, that's why it's called the awakening too. I mean, that's well, even when you look at what we're going through. If you look at Revelations, what is Revel? We are going through Revelations right now. We're awakening the
Apocalypse.
Apocalypse. Never say that word. I mean, it's
an awakening.
Right.
It's a revealing.
And it follows some kind of a cycle. Is what I see too. It's like you go through cycles when you start studying nature and that you see that there's our own lives. Everything is secular. It changes and rebuilds and rebuilds. So we're going through like a birth process. So what's the birth cause? With lots and lots of pain. But after that pain, what do you get? You get so much joy. So I'm hoping to see that in my lifetime. I'm hoping that's what we're doing here is birthing a new world that probably could be more amazing than we can even dream up. We don't know. We have no idea. But I have a lot of faith that things are going to change, that's for sure.
Well, sometimes we actually have fear, and because of that fear, it actually stops us from actually going through this process. So we get stuck and we stay, I don't want to go.
Oh, I know. Just even though I do know so much, I still feel fear at times. I feel fear about
going totally full head on and saying what you want to say.
About that, I feel fear about what, actually.
Well, reprisal.
Yeah, what's going to happen if I do this?
Being shunned.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you have to go with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's all too about like the power of intention and the power of it. That's why I feel strongly too that fear is one of the most dangerous things that we've been given that we need to combat.
Conquer. Try and conquer.
Yeah, because as soon as you let go of that fear, and whenever I have felt fear, and I will go, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and do this because I feel this is right. Those are the times in your life where you feel so light. You feel freedom. It's that's part of it too. It's being able to get rid of that, the unknown. And that's why people hide in the cave. So, I mean, they understand human nature. That is
their biggest tool that they use against us in a reverse psychology way.
Yeah. And it's done through think tanks, through the media. They understand.
They know we like family. They know we want to be liked. They know that we want to belong.
I don't know, and being a sheep does not about because we want to follow, we want to be part of the group. Is that really a bad thing?
No, it's not a bad thing. But they know that, and then they use that against us.
Yeah, they take some of our psychology, and it's been analyzed so much, and been used to control us, to keep us in control.
Don't you want to be part of the group? Don't you want to be a team player?
Let's do some team building.
Team building. Yeah. We got to do some team building. We got an early 9:00 meeting because we got to get the team together and build. Yeah.
So we can make some profits. And who do they answer to? What's the number one thing that if you're a president of a company, you have to sign the thing. You answer to the shareholders, nobody else, the shareholders. And who are the shareholders, really?
The preferred shareholders.
The preferred
There's two
shareholder,
kinds,
yeah,
not the common shareholder.
Oh.
Talking about the preferred shareholders. That's right.
Yeah, it's interesting and you just even have to think a corporation has more rights than a human being.
Yeah, they made a corporation into a human being. That's right.
But you can't jail a corporation.
No, you can't.
You can't. So far, we can't even jail a banker. They're too big to fail. I mean, we've created this monster that's too big to fail, and I mean, everybody's waking up to the fact, and failure will happen eventually. Let's hope it's done in a nice, non-chaotic way, as non-chaotic as it possibly can be done, and as many of us as possible can band together and.
Yeah, but you know how they are. They're going to go down fighting and screaming and scratching the walls, pulling, and the bad and scary thing is that they're going to try and pull down as much as they can with them. It's like having a bear trapped in a corner of the room, and you know you've got him.
Yeah,
he's going to just lash out at you. It's probably just nature.
Yeah,
that would do that.
Exactly. I call it the old world order, and I call it the system. It's the system that's the beast.
That's right.
And it's the old world order trying to hang on to what they have. I mean, talking about being comfortable in their own little caves, but are people any happier?
No.
Actually, when you look at statistics for people that are happiest, it honestly looks the opposite to me.
Yes, when you're outside in the sun, getting vitamin D.
Yeah, exactly. What's the thing that makes people the happiest here in
the
Canada?
Sun.
We go out on a sunny day.
Oh my God. Everybody's so blue and it's raining. Next thing you know, the sun comes. Everybody loves each other.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy. People are saying, oh, you can get in line before me. Everyone's happy. People are smiling at you. They're talking to you. Yeah. Sun goes away. Get the stiff upper lips coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, we need to get back to nature more too. I mean, nature is what nurtures.
Nature is what nurtures us. Nature is what nurtures us. Mm. We don't spend enough time in nature.
No, I know.
We've
craving
actually
nature.
Separated ourselves from nature.
Yeah,
That's been probably one of our biggest downfalls as people on this planet.
Yeah, or putting people all in small or large cities where there's pollution and it even blocks out the light and
they cut all the trees.
Hardly any trees, and that's fine and good for a little while, but you can't live like that all the time. Yeah.
Well, the happiest place in the city, if you ever go, is actually in the parks.
Yeah.
Like in Toronto, it's High Park, and I'm sure in New York, it's Central Park. That's why they're not stupid. They know we need a park.
Yeah,
they know. They know
I
we
wonder
need a back
too
connection.
What's going on in Turkey. I mean, what precipitated it? Because they wanted to take their park away, and look at how that really angered people. Like on top of this, and this. Now you're
going to take our park away.
Yeah, you're going to take our park away. Well, now
you got 1 million people out there marching and fighting with the cops.
Yeah.
That's
I think
what
we've
happens.
settled down here.
Oh, are things okay now?
I hope so. Parks and bodies of water too.
Yes, absolutely. Bodies of water. That's
right.
My
My favorite place in the world is the ocean.
People come from miles around and just sit there and stare. It's like, oh my gosh.
You live by the ocean, right?
Yes. I do it myself. I just go down there to sit or just, it's a very healing place to be at the edge of the ocean, I believe. Or on, especially on.
Oh, you've got some beautiful beaches out there in Florida.
Oh, the world has some, we have a beautiful planet. Let's just, everywhere you turn, everywhere I've been, I've seen just beauty. Hopefully, we're not going to mess it up too bad. Hopefully, this is a turning point.
Well, that's another thing too. And let's look at the world around us. There's so many beautiful places that still exist and are pristine and haven't been touched, and that. And I think that's another scarcity thing that sometimes we're we're not aware of that. It's still there. It hasn't been. Things have not been all lost, right? But when you travel around, I mean, just fly over. For example, when you're flying and look down and you see so many trees, and there's very few little pockets that are actually, but they're so congested. That's the problem. So we're living in this and feeling that we don't have this nature just because it's not accessible to us.
And human nature proves again and again that we need it. It's not something, that's a perk. It's something we need to survive.
No, exactly. Well, look.
Or whatever it brings us, we need that.
Oh, for health reasons, too. I mean, look what they're finding out about sunshine and vitamin D. And, I mean, the really only way you can get it is by the actual source. I mean, you can't take a pill for these things. And it's another thing we've been sold that we can take pills for, but there's nothing that, blocking it all out too. I'm even reading now about suntan screens, how dangerous they are, and how actually they've caused the cancers. It's blocking out the good things, the good stuff that it's doing for us.
I know you can't win, can you?
I know. Well, but there are all kinds of alternatives to suntan. I've been reading about all the coconut oil and avocado and aloe vera. There's all kinds of stuff out there to, if you don't want to, you have to be careful too much sun, but there's ways of, natural ways of dealing with it.
Absolutely. You mentioned the coconut oil, and while I was in Ireland, I actually had bought me some when I got home. My radio partner, Steve's wife, was cooking with coconut oil, and it was just, at first I imagined, is everything going to taste like coconut,
Yeah.
But it's not. It's actually a very clean type of taste.
Yeah, well, they say it's one of the healthiest. Yeah. And it's good for weight loss, too, I hear.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's very good for weight loss.
How would you use it? How would you use it, the oil, for weight loss?
Well, just cooking with it rather than using it. Well, the worst thing you can use is those hydrogenated oils and margarine. Margarine is just like poison. I knew that. I used to, one of the men I used to work for, his wife she did the first heart and lung transplant in the world. So this lady knew her stuff, right? Okay, so she's not some little doctor. And the thing she told me, she said, Lisa, I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm going to never touch that stuff. She said, you do not know how many people I have opened up. And this is what's clogging up the arteries and that.
Exactly.
It's not digestible.
It's the garbage. It's this garbage we pile into us.
It's a form of glue.
Yeah. She said if you would see how they made it's black, it's, then they put coloring in it, right?
Oh, gosh.
And then they
put coloring in everything. It's just, what is it about color? Another way to market, I suppose,
Exactly. And the best thing is that they're trying to, they're pushing this as it's like a healthy, don't touch butter. And then they're rating farmers for unpasteurized milk. That's another one that I just cannot believe.
Oh, my God. Any way they can get the small, everyday guy, the small businessman, that's what they're going to do. They're going to find any way they can to disrupt that so they get the business.
Exactly. But do you ever listen to Salante?
No, I don't.
Oh, he's great, actually. He's
You'll
really
have
good.
to share that with me.
Gerald Salante,
he does his own newspaper. It's called Trends Research, and they
forecast.
Yeah.
It sounds so familiar. I had a late night. It'll probably come to me in the middle of tomorrow night. I'll sit up.
Yeah. Because he's one of these guys that goes on a lot of different shows. Like you'll see him on RT, you'll see him on Alex Jones, you'll see him. He does his own thing too, and that. Yeah. And he's a genius. He's always dead on what's going on. And he says the number one business to be in is healthy foods. Now to support, so this is going to go to supporting the local farmer, because where the money goes right now. That's where we're going to see He's
researched, and he's saying that we're going to be getting into the health foods, and it's going to be the number one thing. Is everybody's going to be concerned about their health.
Exactly. I can see that.
Yeah.
Well, did you hear Target is guaranteed in by 2014 to have all the GMO off their shelves?
That's awesome.
You know, so
I
things
didn't
like
I
that.
didn't hear that. I've been here mostly at the station. You know,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
I
so
miss
much has
out a
gone on in
lot
the last
on
week.
some
Yep.
things.
Mm.
But that's what we need. But then Target's still trying to get us in there, still the corporate.
But exactly, and that's well, that's what we have to
It's these
what we
twists and
have to fight
turns
with.
that,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what that's our biggest power is that we are many. I like that the
We still
Chinese.
are the customer, right? We still are
Yeah,
the customer. So
the worker
in a way,
bees.
they still do have to listen to us. But we just have to get together and do it.
That's true. Well, they're losing business the more we talk about grow your own
Exactly.
food,
Exactly.
go to the
Yeah.
farmers. We don't
Yeah.
want GMOs. They're losing
Exactly.
business.
They're
So
losing business
they've
large.
lost it enough. We've done enough damage for them to say we gotta do something.
Exactly.
So
Because
we're gonna
remember,
take
they
them off
still
their
have
shelf.
to.
They're hurting our business.
Yes.
So we love you, GMO, but sorry, we can't keep the store open.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because it's always been about the bottom line. But let's make the bottom line a healthy bottom line.
True, absolutely.
It's a first step anyway, right?
Yeah, that it just goes to show we're making progress. We're pushing.
Yes, we are. Well, there was that huge worldwide march on Monsanto, where I don't know how many cities across the world.
Oh, it was all worldwide.
Worldwide, it was
Yeah,
worldwide. Millions of people.
and it's not going away.
And they wanted to finally, hey, we want labels on our products and stuff like that, and we want this Monsanto out.
That was a beautiful thing. I did see pictures of that. I wasn't near one where we were in Ireland. I think the
Right.
nearest one was at Cork.
Yeah.
I would have been to both of them, and they were on the same day, but I had two in the area to choose from. I definitely would have been there. Trying to plug a computer in and get anything live I could, or
But I
away.
think Europe is better, with about GMOs. I've heard.
Yes, they do things, at least in the area that I was in, a simpler way, and there's the butcher shop and this and that, but it's probably the people that I stayed with as well. They do have the big corporate places to go to. We just didn't, visit many.
Right.
We took a look at them all, but mostly it was just the neighborhood butcher, and Steve and Rebecca grow their own stuff there, and there's just more of us doing that now.
Yeah, and doesn't it taste? How much better does it taste?
Oh my God, it's amazing. It's
You know,
amazing.
like
For a fact there's no chemicals been used. Everything is just grown with nature, and it just, you can taste that. And there's a pride too. It's all like Cahill Gibran says, in loving what you do. Oh, we've got about 3 minutes here, I think.
Was it local where you were? Was it kind of local? Did you get like a feeling of local when you were shopping and eating there?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yes. So it was a local butcher, it was a local farmer, right?
Yeah,
oh, isn't that a
exactly.
wonderful life?
Well, yeah,
And
like Steve grows so much on his own farm that,
right,
he has to buy very little. I mean,
right, right.
they have had so many, they use the heritage seeds. They had so many plants started and growing that they share 'em around with other farmers.
Oh, that's
We've
good.
got this much more lettuce. We've got this much more all planted in your garden.
Right. And if the other gentleman has some seeds that he needs, they can actually barter or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Fresh eggs and
Fresh
things. There were
eggs.
very little that they need to purchase there.
And
Right.
I bet your digestive system works a lot better too. when you're
You
eating
know,
that type of food.
that was the thing. I had this awful heartburn before I went. I mean, it was just terrible. Couldn't even lay flat, and it went away. I think I took something. I just settled my stomach, some mint or something, the first night, and then after that, I forgot all about it. I didn't need it, and I haven't had the trouble since I got back. Knock on wood, you know.
So our bodies don't take that long to recover.
No, actually, it didn't.
That's actually the amazing thing about it, you know?
You
We
know, it
don't
was
take that
also
long
it
to
was
recover.
I think it was everything. You know, the healthiness, the
The
atmosphere,
atmosphere, the food,
because
right?
and we all are very close. You know, we express love. You know,
Of
with each
course.
other, and you know, not in a little weird way, but you know, in a family that gets a long way.
That's
You know, one
right.
of those fairy tales you see on TV. That was kind of, you know, because we just really fit together, and that is good for your digestive system. The
Absolutely.
Oh
clean
well,
You're
air
thanks.
is
surrounded.
good
You're
Yeah.
for your
surrounded.
digestive
Right?
system. The
Yes, the
fresh
positive
food,
vibration.
Well, what's
and
one of the most
wow,
important things with the family is eating together, eating your dinners together. I mean, that's what I always remember as growing up as a
Same
child.
here, yeah.
You know, it was that was the time of the day where you're in the closest, and that's what kept families together too. Food. I mean,
oh
food is.
guys, we run out of time.
Oh my God.
I just, I just, oh goodness, we're gonna have to wrap it up. April Rain will be on in a minute,
Okay.
in
Well,
a
thank you
couple.
so much, Paul. It was wonderful chatting with you again, and
Thank you from Al and Lisa.
It's been great. Thank you guys. We'll see you
Oh,
next week.